everybody, it's Jo Carter here. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my May 2020 reading wrap up. Again this month I read a total of 3 books. Audiobooks seem to be my saving grace because one of them was an audiobook, one of them was a physical novel, and another was a physical graphic novel. I was participating in Bookimon and Tome Topple. Tome Topple I failed epically at. I started reading my Tome Topple book sort of mid towards end of May, and I'm still reading it because it's really ginormous and I'm still not really prioritizing reading this much. I also only finished one book for Bookimon because the audiobook that I was reading I didn't start during May. It was something that I wasn't reading for Bookimon, but I did finish one book for Bookimon, which is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. I'll put down here the CP that we reached to when we were defeating Team Rocket. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is the first book in this series, and it's a dual perspective. The first perspective is Mikkel, who is a journalist that's been commissioned to write a biography for an industrialist called Henrik Vanger. Henrik is the founder of a big company that is run by a lot of family members, but they're not the happy family that they would seem for having such a successful company. There is a lot of consternation between them, which circulates around the disappearance of Henrik's niece, who is named Harriet. She disappeared about 20 years ago and it was never found out why. It's descended into a cold case now. And the real reason Henrik hired Mikkel is to investigate some family members that he believes killed Harriet. The second perspective follows a woman named Lisbeth Salander, and I found her to be the most interesting out of her and Mikkel. Her story doesn't exactly go into the main finding out about the disappearance plotline until halfway through the book, which is, I actually found this first half a bit dry, unfortunately. I still pushed through it and got through it because it was fairly interesting, and Lisbeth's own plotline was pretty interesting and still very relevant. If you've read this, you'll know why it's still really relevant. But I just found, because Mikkel himself didn't really have much of a personality, it was mainly the mystery and also the atmosphere of being in the woods and the cabin in the snow that got me to read it, more than me actually caring about Mikkel at all. But then once Lisbeth came into the main plotline in the second half and they met up and started working together, I found it really fascinating. The mystery was really gripping. It sort of twisted and turned in ways that I didn't think it was going to. I'm probably not the best person to tell you whether it is a outstanding thriller because I haven't really read a lot of thrillers, but for me it definitely was something that I didn't expect, the way that it turned out and the way that it happened. And it had a really satisfying conclusion as well, so I'm looking forward to reading the rest of this series, and I'll be continuing it. I gave this one 3.5 stars. The second book I finished in May was the audiobook that I listened to, and that is called A Brief History of the Rise and Fall of the Third Reich by Martin Whittock. This is my non-fiction book that I was wanting to learn more about Nazi Germany and answer some questions as to how Hitler came into power and why so many people voted for them, and also like, how did the Second World War start? Was it because of what he was doing to the Jewish people, or were some other things at play that created this war? I believe this book was a good introduction into answering those questions. It wasn't dry. I found it interesting. It was probably a little bit too lengthy on how Hitler and his political party got into power and stayed into power, but I still believe that that was fairly interesting, and it maybe was a little bit too dry for me because I'm new to non-fiction, but I definitely think that it was worthwhile. They did a good job of keeping you interested and keeping it sort of feel like a bit of a narrative to help sort of speed along and not just it be a bunch of like names and dates. My questions did get answered, which was fantastic. It sort of explained to me that the reason Hitler got into power is that there was such this perfect storm of what was going on. The German people were really unhappy with the unrest in the country after World War I. Hitler seemed to have this almost celebrity status that people really loved him because he seemed about order and getting things correct. He also kept a lot of his hidden agendas secret because he didn't want them to know about the depth of his plans towards trying to exterminate the Jewish people. They kept their policies pretty vague to begin with, and stuff that could universally appeal to a lot of people, even if some things contradicted a little bit, but it seems like they weren't looked into 100%. Nobody thought that he was going to end up committing the atrocities that he did, and Hitler himself, separate from his party, actually got voted into power as the vice chancellor because the other sort of political leaders actually underestimated Hitler and thought that they could control him as a figurehead that was just really popular in the country, and it was how they could gain control of the German population again. And they really, really vastly underestimated him, which is how he got so much power. But a lot of people did vote the Nazis in. They were very open to a lot of radical change because of how crappy the country's economy was. And there was this whole, I mean, you know, read the book if you want more explanation, more detailed explanation, but it just seemed like such a perfect storm. Also something that I think was really interesting for me to be reading and really relevant considering what's going on with the Black Lives Matter movement. I can't believe that less than 100 years since the Holocaust happened, that was like in the 1930s and 40s, we have something going on in the country now where Hitler just judged a whole race of people just based on what he thought was correct and was horribly racist towards them. But yet again, people are allowing this to happen to the black people in America and in so many other countries, like the Aboriginal people in my country. It's just, I don't understand. It's like we don't learn from history, and it's really awful. And I'm hoping to spend more time doing some research into this. How can I help? What can I do? Continue to learn, but as long as you're trying to research and learn and get better, then hopefully the world can be a better place. It's just really heartbreaking that so soon after that kind of atrocity happened to the Jewish people that we are back at that stage again. The last book I read this month was the graphic novel volume The Search, which is the second library bind-up of the Avatar: The Last Airbender graphic novels, which continues on with the TV show. So if you haven't watched the TV show, then please don't. You'll get spoilers for this, so be warned. I gave this volume 3 stars out of 5. I was actually a bit disappointed. This is the volume that I've been long awaiting, that the reason that I actually picked up the graphic novel series to continue Avatar, because I wanted answers about Zuko's mother. Unfortunately, it wasn't exactly what I expected. I think largely because I'm so used to seeing it as a TV show that I don't feel like they could do it justice as a comic series. The ending to this volume wasn't actually 100% tied up neatly in a bow, so I'm really hoping that in the future one it will kind of be a bit more realistic and satisfying. But definitely I just didn't, it wasn't what I wanted. Like, it was believable when they explained everything, but it just didn't feel satisfying. I was also disappointed with Sokka's character. I felt like he was included in it because it was a journey that the Team Avatar group would go on together, but there honestly didn't feel like there was enough pages and space to include him as a meaningful character, and I kind of felt like he regressed down just to the role of comic relief, and that all of his growth that happens in the 2nd and the 3rd season didn't happen, that he digressed. And that was actually kind of disappointing to see, because I wish that, like, they cut out one main character in this. They are off doing the rest of their thing, which I guess again to sort of make it so that the page count isn't so big and that everybody gets enough page time. And I wish they had done the same with Sokka, that they had have actually taken him out so that they could give some more richness to some other characters, and so that his character didn't degrade. Thanks everybody for watching. Stay safe. I hope everybody is okay who's watching this. Please comment down below if any of this has been interesting to you, if you've got any recommendations or anything that you think that I should read in regards to getting educated about Black Lives Matter, because like, I'm white, I'm straight, I'm super privileged. I have no idea what some people are going, well, some of them got an idea, but I've never gone through something like that. So if you've got any great recommendations, then please leave it down below, because I'm all about getting educated. And yeah, just drop me a line if you want to chat. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.